Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. Deontay Wilder has climbed to the top of the Transnational Boxing Rankings following Andy Ruiz Jr.'s defeat to Anthony Joshua on December 7th in Saudi Arabia. So I will go through some of their statements and rationale for having Wilder on top and where Joshua is, but also there's some new entrants to the top 10 and some clear omissions that I'm sure people will be debating about. But we'll start at the top. So these are the rankings here. So number 1, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury number 2, Anthony Joshua number 3, Andy Ruiz Jr. number 4. So I'll stop there and get to the statement from Transnational, and you can see here on screen. So its updates, it says, we figured there'd be real changes at the top of the heavyweight division, and there was. Anthony Joshua didn't demonstrate a masterclass. For an example of that, see James Toney's performance against Iran Barkley, but he was effective against a heavy-handed combination puncher with heavy feet. He kept him disciplined from a distance, didn't engage for long, and circled around him. More importantly, Joshua overcame that old bugaboo that is an indication of real character. He overcame his own demons in defeating the man who humiliated him only 6 months earlier. Andy Ruiz Jr. demonstrated a cliche. He failed to properly train and assumed that AJ was too shell-shocked to be ever a threat again. He was wrong and regrets it. Ruiz went from number 1 to number 4. Anthony Joshua moves up from 4 to number 3. Some members disputed that and figured that logic says that AJ should be number 1. But AJ was knocked out 6 months ago against a fighter who this time around did nothing to prove he wasn't just a flash in the pan. The best 2 heavyweights in the world are Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. That seems pretty clear in the aftermath of Joshua Ruiz 2. The winner of Fury Wilder 2 will become the true heavyweight champion of the world. So that is Transnational's take on the Ruiz-Joshua fight, but also who is the number 1 in the division right now. And I know that's not going to sit well with everyone, but this is just one organization's point of view. Obviously, this Transnational is made up of media members, writers who are experienced in covering the sport of boxing. And historically, their take, their rankings across the board within the sport of boxing is regarded as a pretty good gauge of where things are really at, as compared to the ridiculous rankings of the alphabet organizations, which can be all over the place and bought and paid for, etc. So these rankings, Deontay Wilder 1, Fury 2, and Joshua 3, this is where the debate will start. Is this accurate, or is this actually something that is a bit of an injustice to Joshua or Fury? And here's the thing for me. I don't know that there's any true number 1 heavyweight right now. They seem to all be circling each other, but we just don't know if they don't fight each other. And we do have a rematch coming up between Wilder and Fury in February, so that's going to tell us a lot. But it's not the be-all and end-all. And if you step back and look at this current crop of heavyweights, the sort of era that we're in right now, there certainly is a risk that we're going to get through it. And I think the up-and-comers are coming through now. They're breaking their way through. We're about to go through to the next sort of wave of heavyweights, that next era. There is a risk that we don't get the fights that we should in the time that we needed to get them. And some of the marination politics, promotional politics, etc. is becoming a real issue in the heavyweight division and has been for some time. It's not new and it's not a secret, but it is what it is at this point. But it does run the risk that we don't see what we should see in the time that we do need to see it. Anyway, getting back to the rankings, so you have Wilder, Fury and Joshua rounding out the top 3, and there will be the bun fight among fans about who is really the number 1, who deserves the top spot. But Deontay Wilder unbeaten at this point, Fury unbeaten at this point, and as Transnational says, for it to put Joshua at number 3, it factored in that loss from 6 months ago. So number 4, Andy Ruiz Jr., as I mentioned. Number 5, Dillian Whyte, he maintains his spot in Transnational, as does Luis Ortiz and Alexander Povetkin. No change there for their latest update. But a new entrant at number 8 is Michael Hunter. He had a draw with Alexander Povetkin. He looked good in that fight. It was a split draw. On my card, I had Povetkin at 7 rounds to 5, but there were a couple of swing rounds. So I don't have any issue with Michael Hunter, being given the win by other fans. But a draw in the books, good enough to see him elevated into the top 10, and I believe for the first time. Kubrat Pulev, he's at number 9, down 1 place from a week ago. And Filip Hrgovic, number 10, a new entrant. He took on and defeated Eric Molina in 3 rounds in Saudi Arabia. That was good enough to get him into the top 10, also, I believe, for the first time. So I know that there will be a number of people looking at this list and going, is the ordering right? Are the fighters that are there should be there? That sort of thing. But a couple of notable omissions. So we have Adam Kovnatski. He is out of the top 10, as well as Joseph Parker. And I guess some of that may come down to activity for both of those guys. Kovnatski just 2 fights in 2019. One was against a faded Chris Arreola, and Parker just the 1 fight against Alex Leopai. There's that old adage, out of sight, out of mind, and maybe that's playing a part for those couple of fighters. But overall, the top 10, it's a decent looking top 10, and we can certainly squabble about some of the ordering, but that looks like a pretty strong 10 in my view. And you can see some of the newer wave coming through. Hrgovic certainly among it. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.